Hello and welcome. It's another weekend and we're back with the program Abuja Live. The show is a mixture of politics, human angle stories, entertainment, lifestyle, and sports.
So take a moment and relax as we ride through the show today.
I am Ademola Lawrence.
And I am Abidat Lawal.
Interesting conversations we'll be having, but first, let's begin by letting you know that the violence against children's rights is on the high as it exceeds cases of domestic violence in Nigeria. That's according to the National Human Rights Commission in its Human Rights Report for February 2024.
Now, over 339 children have been abandoned by their parents, especially fathers. Also, out of 1,484 complaints received, reports of domestic violence as about 370, while violence of children's rights is 550. We have more in this next piece.
February report by the Commission are cases relating to children. Over 339 children were abandoned by their parents, most especially by their fathers. In the 550 cases of violence against children, 12 cases of rape and defilement were recorded, 3 child marriages, 1 harmful tradition practice, 24 violence and assault, 19 trafficking, 93 access to children's custody, 4 adoption and kidnapping, 21 rights to survival and development, and 34 others. The main violators of children's rights the Commission identifies as parents, with reports of 176% being responsible. Other cases which are not human rights violations but perpetrated on citizens are reported to the police, anti-graft agencies, or other relevant authorities.
In January, we reported 150 kidnappings. In February, we are reporting 215. In January, we recorded 55 killings, either by kidnappers, bandits, or terrorists. In February, that has doubled to 106.
Is concerned about the state of human rights in Nigeria, especially the impact of the economic reforms on the enjoyment of human rights by Nigerians. Images and videos of citizens breaking into warehouses and trucks conveying foodstuffs do not only portend dangers on the rule of law, but clearly show a clear violation of the right to dignity of the human person guaranteed by our Constitution.
All offices of the Human Rights Commission in the Federation are charged with observing, documenting, analyzing, and reporting on human rights violations in real time.
I think it's a very interesting conversations that we need to have. As we mirror on this disturbing trend and put this issue into clearer perspective, we have joined us in the studio a social worker and trauma counselor, Francis Onyekwe. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Francis.
Thank you very much.
You know, first of all, let's look at what the report is saying. Over 339 children, of course, their rights have been abused. Who could, ever imagine the right of children, of course, will be abused and easily violated?
We learned this especially by their fathers.
Yeah, it's a serious concern these days because, like you rightly said, research have shown that most abuses happen at home, by relatives. And like you said, especially fathers. And it's on the increase. Why is it on the increase? I think maybe because of social media we are coming to know about it, but not that it has not been existing, it has been there. Children's rights have been abused, children have been violated in different ways, in many ways, and a lot are still happening.
Now, from the reports we see, we notice that this right that has been violated. What are your take on this, and how is what's best approach can we adopt to cope this?
You see, I think Nigeria as a whole, the government need to sit up. A lot of organizations are working for children. I think we all need to sit up because there are a lot of instruments for the right of the child Nigeria have assented into. You have the Convention on the Right of the Child. You have African Charter on the Human Rights. You have Nigerian Constitution. We also have the Criminal Code. We also have the Labor Act. These are instruments protecting children from their rights being violated. But again, their rights are being violated on a daily basis. So what's the problem? The problem is not the instrument. The problem is the implementation. So we need to step up. And again, we need to also educate parents, before they get into marriage. They need to understand what marriage is. You don't get into marriage because you want to get into marriage, and when children start coming, you run away, you start violating the children, beating the children. You understand? So it's very, very appalling. We need to understand what marriage is. At what point are we ready to get into marriage? Because this is where these things start. And the worst part of it is that the moment children observe these things, they internalize it. As they grow up, they start acting out. They start exhibiting it. Because those who are doing it now have experienced it in the past, directly or indirectly, from their parents or caregivers. So in fact, you find out that, as human beings, what we do, 80% to 85% is unconscious. So you can imagine what is conscious, what we do. So people do what they don't even intend to do. It's just like in the case of domestic violence, when a woman is being abused, after a point, the honeymoon period, the husband will say, I'm sorry, I don't know what get into me, blah, 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 blah. Before you know it, the cycle continues and the abuse starts again. This is what happens. I think we need to break the cycle of violence.
I think one of the issues that we also probably need to look at is the issue of abandonment. Children, so many children, let me give you an example. You see children being taken to boarding school at the age of 5, 6, and they live with their peers all throughout their lives, from 5 to maybe like 18 when they finish secondary school. So within that gap, sometimes they don't live with their parents for 10 years.
That seems to be the behavioral shaping
exactly.
stage.
I love this aspect you brought, because I did a program with NTA on abandonment some time ago, sometime last year. It's an issue.
Yeah.
Because parents these days, I call it wicked parenting. They don't want to do their job. They are very lazy. You understand? Because you as a parent, you were not brought up that way. You were not brought up that way. How can you see? So some parents allow their children to jump developmental milestones. It's wrong. You don't jump developmental milestones. When you jump it, you are bound to regress. It's a regression. Psychologically, you are bound to regress. Now, you see a child in primary 4 getting to JS1. Where is he running to? Where is she running to? And these are situations where they take them to boarding home because they don't want that responsibility. They want that responsibility of bringing up the children to be transferred to the caregivers in the boarding home and teachers. No, we parents have to do our work. See, what happens? The repercussion is this. When you fail to do your work at the right time, that time you're supposed to rest, you start doing the work. You can't rest. Because that is the time they start manifesting different behavioral issues. Depression, substance abuse, loneliness. Some of them exhibit bully. Some of them are being bullied. Some of them, bully people. You understand? So these are the period. Then you'll be called upon either by the school administration or police that your child have done this, have done that. You start running helter-skelter. But when you're supposed to lay the proper foundation, you refuse to do that. You push it to people to do it, and they do it anyhow. So that issue of abandonment is very alarming. A lot of children, especially in the township these days, you see the lifestyle in the town. It's no longer the kind of lifestyle we have before. We have that communal living, whereby every child is everybody's child. But today, no. We build fences in our homes. We don't know what is happening in the next neighbor's home. If there's an abuse going on, you say it's not your business. It's our business, because tomorrow it will affect the society. And the moment it's a ripple effect. When it affects that individual, the next thing is the family. From the family to friends to the society. And we eventually might end up having a maladjusted society.
So how best can we curb this ripple effect, especially the psychological aspect, where in turn it's going to affect the society?
I think a lot needs to be done, like you people are doing. A lot of awareness need to be created, and a lot of sensitization, and people need to listen, and people need to pay attention. First and foremost, you need to understand what parenting is. Now you ask yourself a question. People go for marriage course. I don't know for the Muslims, but the Christians, they go for marriage course, marriage training before they get married. What is the duration? And what is being taught? What do they impact in them? We need to revisit those things. Then the NGOs also need to be helped. Like the government need to, map out funds for NGOs who are dealing with children, so that they can get into the communities, sensitize people, and do the work. Then the right people need to be employed. Like in Nigeria today, many people don't know about social workers. I'm a social worker. I'm a practicing social worker for years. Many people don't know about social work. In fact, this month is social work month. On the 19th is social work day. So social workers need to be employed at the right time and the right place to do the work. You don't take somebody who read sociology to come and do social work. It's not done. They will mess it up. There are ethics. There are values of the job. And they understand it. There are social workers who are specialized on children. There are those who are specialized in working with hospital people. You understand? So you deploy them at the right place and don't mingle issues.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Francis, for joining us. I think it's a conversation that needs to continue. And, children really, their rights need to be protected.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. And that's, of course, Mr. Francis Onyekwe, who is a social worker.
Elsewhere, the ongoing conversation surrounding state police is becoming louder, with major players making their opinions known.
And one of those adding their voice to the call is Senator representing Delta North, Ned Nwoko, who is also proposing a bill to allow Nigerians bear arms for self-defense, following the rise of insecurity across the country. The next report, tell us more. The Nigerian Firearm Act of 1959 provides that no person shall have in his possession or under his control any firearm or ammunition except such person has a license from the President or the Inspector General of Police. It further states that no license or permit to carry out firearms should be granted to the following people: applicants under the age of 17, persons who are unsound, persons not fit to have possession of the firearm in question or account defective eyesight, persons of interpret habit, or anyone who has been convicted of an offense involving violence or the threat of violence during previous years. But with the level of insecurity in the country, Senator Ned Nwoko believes Nigeria should be licensed to carry arms for self-defense. He says the idea of a bill to enable Nigerians to carry firearms to defend themselves is to also complement efforts of security agencies to ensure security of lives and property.
People should be allowed to defend themselves, but it's not everybody who should carry arms. There are different categories of people. If you go through my bill, there are different qualifications. Age is one of them. You have to be 35 years of age to have this ability to go for it. And we must go through a shooting school. Shooting range is one of those requirements. Every local government area is meant to have a shooting range school. And those shooting range schools should be owned and managed by former military guys who are familiar with weapons, who they know what to do with weapons. It's not for businessmen, for former military guys who have gotten to the level of at least a colonel in the army or the equivalent in the other forces. So when you spend like 2 months and you've gone through the shooting range school and you're certified to be able to use a weapon, not only in shooting, but maintaining and keeping safely. These are things that you must fulfill. Then you must go to your village or your town and get a certification from your king. Your king, with his chiefs, should know everybody.
With the prevailing security situation, many Nigerians have now resigned to fate, as it seems security agencies have constantly failed to guarantee the safety of lives and property. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News.
For more on the call for state police and self-defense, let's speak with the former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Joshak Abila, who joins us live in our Abuja studios.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, sir. Now, looking at the rising insecurity and the calls for state police, everyone has joined their voice to this call and thinking it is what Nigeria needs presently. Do you think this is able to nip the bud the issue of insecurity?
Well, of course, everyone is coming out to profess some solution as to how we can control insecurity in Nigeria. So the citizens or the government is not wrong to look the other way. But I would want just to remind them of the fact that when you talk about state police, there are a lot of things that are involved. It means that the government would want to, have the control of the police where they are in their states. But outside that, I would want to also say that there must be a level of maturity for us to say that we can have the state police, because the cost and some of the cost and some other things are likely to have constitute, a hindrance in doing an effective job. And so I would want, until these documents that have been prepared for state police is at the public glare, then we'll be able to know what exactly. But you know that right now the governors in the various states are members of the police council who could also proffer solution. And the commissioners of the police and the police officers in those states, in all the states, the governor have the right to talk with them, to cross-fertilize ideas with the commissioners of police in the various states, and of course, let them work as if the state is theirs. At the central level, I do not think that the Inspector General of Police would interfere in issues where it has to do with the lives of the people. And so, as it is now, I know that the governor have a leverage, have an opportunity to utilize the police in their state as if they were recruited by him, unless issues that tend to let the police out there as people who are taking side. And so we talk about state police, if they would have all what it takes to do. And then if we look at the document, we'll be able to talk. But I think a very good one is the community policing, where the people in the rural areas, people everywhere in the various local government, in the communities are brought in. They understand the terrain, they know who is who, and when they walk, they know they're walking at a place they know. And it is always very, very easy for them to fish out criminals within them. And so the government must think the other way. But I would want a situation where this document for state police are made available. Then we can look at it and say the community policing, I think, is quite also.
Okay, so you talked about preferring solutions, and you as a former DIG, there have been calls that Nigerians should be able to defend themselves in terms of carrying arms. If you can see that the bill is already being discussed at the National Assembly,
yes.
And some are saying that, okay, is it a bad idea if Nigerians, defend themselves carrying arms? First of all. Second of all, just yesterday, I think it was just yesterday, where the First Lady was talking about
capital
punishment for
kidnappers.
So let's look at those two scenarios.
Yes.
Do you think it can actually play out? Carrying arms and, of course, giving out capital punishments to kidnappers
when caught.
Yes, okay. Carrying out arms. You will know that in America, the Americans, they have those who are trained and those who are also lectured on the do's and the don'ts of firearms. They have, after training and after finding them, they're upstairs, very healthy, they do, but not everyone. But and some other few countries, but in this country, if you want everybody to carry arms and defend himself, I wouldn't understand what it is, because you need also to make them, to train them well, and the process of holding arms and the usage. If you don't take care, there's also going to be a lot of people more down innocently, because the process of carrying arms and its usage has to be from a very disciplined person and somebody who will be able to know at what time can he use the arms. And if we just give it out, it's also going to produce a very negative result. But of course, if the citizen of this country want to bear arms, then what kind of arms? And then there has to be training. Those are things that can be brought to the table for the government and the citizen to look at. And if we have I know that we have the capacity to, the government and the security agencies have the capacity to know who is to, carry arms, because one is for the protection of your individual and also the community. And if we can take time to do a training and to also be assured that these arms can be put to use for the interests of the defense of the person and other citizens, then of course it's not wrong. But there are processes that we have to look at and to study before we allow anybody to bear arms.
So now the growing agitations and insecurity that have been, especially in places that have been worse hit by this menace, seems to have been dying down, while some say it is because of the high cost of living, and maybe attention seems to have diverted. What's your take on this?
Well, it's surprising that we cannot use the issue of challenges of means of living and then the community, the economy and what have you. I don't think that's an excuse, but it's very unfortunate that years back when we were in service, we also had this, and then it seems it was not as much as this, because we have an opportunity to prevent, we have an opportunity to reduce to the barest minimum. But what I see, like what happened in Kaduna and Benue last night, is very frightening. And I think that we need to do something quickly to be able to prevent that. And I agree that the citizens are just waiting. The citizens want a situation where if the government and the security agencies cannot protect them, they would want to protect themselves. And so that's why I'm saying that when you start with this community policing is bringing out strong body individuals to take control with the supervision of other police officers, to be able to find out who is in this community that is doing what it is, or what has been happening, or who are those, because you will be able to know very well. If you have the knowledge of your community, you should be able to know who entered as a citizen, as a visitor, and what exactly does he want. And you have to understand the community, the way you're policing. And that's why in those days we have a police post right in the interior, and then we have another police station before you have a division. And in that community, you still see police officers waiting. They may not do much, but they will understand who is coming in newly, who is preparing to do what. But these are not there. And then even when you have them in the divisions, they are not in a number that you think you can deploy up to the local level. You also do not have accommodation for them. There are a lot of challenges in terms of logistics. This is from experience. I'm saying what I've seen, that we need to give more to the Nigerian police. And I think I can assure you that with the kind of performances they've done in other countries, when they go for foreign mission, we will be able to give an account. They will be able to give an account of themselves. There are a lot of things that are lacking. Some of the things that used to be in the past is not there. There's no police force. And so somebody will just come into a secondary school, pick the children, and walk away and take them out. He is not likely to say a police station. He is not likely to say anybody, policing the area, because most of the presence of the police are in the cities and in the local government. They are not in the rural areas, and that can't work.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Former Deputy Inspector General Police, Joshua Bila, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed, of course, the conversation that needs to continue. Insecurity is something that Nigeria really needs to deal with. We'll go on a break. While we come back, we'll have more for you and entertainment and, of course, in sport. We'll be right back. And thanks for staying with us. And we are still celebrating women around the world, especially Nigerian women who are making the country proud in different fields of endeavor. Now, the theme for this year's International Women's Day is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress.
Well, this underscores the importance of investing in women's potential to drive social, economic, and cultural advancement globally. Let's tell you that the discussions are now revolving around investing in women, accelerating the transition towards a healthier, safer, and more equal world. We have more in this compilation.
Progress made towards achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. It is also to critically reflect on those accomplishments for a great momentum towards gender equality worldwide. Women and girls play a crucial role in the development of any nation, but they are most affected when crisis hits. Women and girls are affected from increased risk of gender-based violence to the loss of life and livelihood opportunities. Limited healthcare services and limited water, sanitation and hygiene put women and girls more at risk as it hampers their ability to manage their specific needs.
Our global economic system is failing women now. Financial inclusion. Financial investment in women remains alarmingly low. An additional $360 billion annually is needed to achieve SDG 5.
In Nigeria, women are left behind, especially in politics. Women's representation in Nigerian politics has been on the downward slide since 2011 and the 2023 elections. Out of 36 states of the Federation, there are no female governors, only 2 female deputy governors. And in the recent, only 9 women made it to President Tinubu's cabinet, which many say is reasonable compared to what was obtained in the past.
Apart from the youth that have suddenly picked an interest in politics now, women have always been the largest number of people that normally vote. And unfortunately, we always get the back end of the stick.
A friend of mine recently went for election and she was voted out because she's a woman.
The theme for this year's commemoration of the International Women's Day, Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals 5. But how far has Nigeria gone in achieving this feat for its women and girls?
We really haven't achieved as much as it should be felt, you know.
So far, so good. The government is trying for us. But of course, if you need more of us, you should invest more in us so we can produce more.
They want more opportunities for women to prove themselves.
If you add the time to look for water, if you add the time to look for food, then a woman has about 6 hours lost just for reproductive activities. And so she doesn't have time to invest in productive activities.
The essence of promoting women, like an International Women's Week, for example, is for women to realize their potentials and their positions in the society.
Opportunities for women must not be limited to the rural areas. Every woman and girls deserve the best, irrespective of their tribe, religion, location, and even ideology.
Interesting. To set the ball rolling for more discussion on International Women's Day, we have joined us in the studio a passionate women's rights advocate and, of course, Jesse Jones, principal partner of Jesse Jones Group. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I heard you have a lot of designation. I heard you are an entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
You are a lawyer.
Yes, I am.
So many things in one. Women, that's the power we have.
Interesting conversation that we need to have. But, you know, first of all, I think that first, let's say Happy International Women's Day was yesterday.
Thank you
It's
so
our
much.
month. This is our month.
Yes.
Please, I'm in the middle to you.
Don't worry, we're not going to crucify
Okay,
you.
so but let's just look at, you know, what women, you know, are really doing in terms of trying to build a nation.
Yes.
And they say that when women, you know, give a woman the nation and it will build it for you.
Exactly.
In terms of how Nigerian women are putting their legs out there and making sure things are properly being done, economically, politically, and otherwise, do you think that Nigerian women are, you know, are right on course in some of these things that we talked about?
Yes, as you rightly said, women are now taking the forefront in the society. For example, in Nigeria today, and the present government, we have lots of women that are presently, you know, in positions. And women are now coming out of their shells, basically. And if you notice, most of the CSOs and NGOs are being led by women in the society. Why? This is because we want to make an impact. Because when we help ourselves, there are always results. We are result-oriented. When you put a woman in a position, you see, we actually perform better. I'm not trying to be biased in any way.
It's fine. It's fine.
But, yeah, I'm not trying to be biased in any way, but we perform better because we have a nurturing nature, and we always want to make sure that we deliver. So women in Nigeria today are actually on the front. We have Chimamanda Adichie, we have Okonjo Iweala, you know, is present the DG of the World Trade Organization. So yes, I would say rightly that women are now coming out of their shells. We want our voices to be heard. Why? Because we know that when our voices are heard, we will make an impact, and of course it's going to develop the economy, you know, because we are going to bring in the issues related in societies. We have communities where we have women leaders, and they actually go out of their way to ensure that the voices are heard from the women around them. So, like rightly yesterday, we were at an outreach at the IDP camp, and we went there and we saw lots of women that came to conduct seminars. They did outreaches, and they were trying to, you know, encourage the women there. So yes, women are now coming out of their shells.
Now, there are calls in some quarters that the rights of women and girls can only be secured if we have a just society, or rather it is responsible for a just society or economic prosperity. Do you align with these thoughts?
Yes. Goal 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals basically talks about, you know, gender equality, and it is one of the goals that they align for. So yes, I would rightly say that when women are supported in the society, we actually do better. And for example, in the world today, we have so many issues, but one great issue that is actually posing around has to do with economic issues and social issues. So for example, in Nigeria today, I believe that if women are given more support in the society, we would actually do better.
Do you think that Nigerian women are really have really, climbed up that stage, where they can practically do what they can do for themselves, and not being spoon-fed, and not being, they don't need the support of the men anymore. Let me put it that way. Do you think that they've done that?
Okay, so I'm sorry, but I greatly disagree with you. Women are not being spoon-fed in any way, because firstly, for you to see a woman out there in the society coming forward, trust me, she has been through a lot. It's not easy climbing the ladder.
Do you think the man has not been through a lot as well?
Men have been through a lot, but for example, myself, I run a lot of things. I have a foundation that supports women. So if you notice, the CSOs and the non-governmental organizations, if you notice, why are they championing for women? Because we know that we can help each other. So no, we're not being spoon-fed in any way, because nothing good comes easy. And in Nigeria today, I don't want to say you don't have the government supporting women, or we don't have men that also support women, because yes, men in their own way support women, maybe from their homes, their families, or when you also want to work with the men. But no, we are not being spoon-fed, because every woman you see out there that has climbed the ladder has been through a lot. She has been through the rain, she has been through the sun. She has actually carried a lot of people behind. So no, we're not being spoon-fed.
So now, would you think, looking back in the past 10 years, how far have the women folk progressed? If you agree, why? And if you don't agree, if you have another opinion, I want you to tell me.
In the last decade, women have played a major role in the world at large, and not even Nigeria. We have likes of Hillary Clinton, we have likes of Chimamanda Adichie, we have likes of Okonjo Iweala, obviously, who I mentioned earlier, that has played a huge impact in the world today. And so I agree that women have actually come out of their shells, and they are making an impact to the younger folks, because we have, there's a saying that, youths are the bedrock of every society. So we have women that have actually laid a stepping stone for us. For example, Michelle Obama, who always, she always tries to advocate for women, and also give us, that stand that you must, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, basically. It doesn't matter if you're from a poor home, if you're from a rich home. If you have the vision to succeed in Nigeria, for example, you would succeed. Because, and another thing I've realized that in Nigeria today, women are actually supporting women. So it's actually plays a major role for us. So yes, in the last decade, women we are taking the ship, we are the sailors. So yes, we've played a very large role in society, and we're not stepping back.
Okay, I think I'll just ask you this one question, the last question, and that has to do with, if you look at the social media was so agog yesterday, of course, because it was International Women's Day.
Yes.
If you look at the ladder of the people who are the elderly ones, the ones who have actually made it to their primes, do you think that it actually trickled down? And looking at the Gen Zs, the millennials, there's a lot. You understand what I'm saying now? You understand? When you go on social media, sometimes you feel like, women. There's so much narrative that you need to, so much perspective that you need to put to it. Do you think that they need to? What do you think that needs to be done? For us to have that transition where you have those people. Can you do that in 60 seconds? I'll be very happy.
So basically, I think the government should try to support women also, and also there should be more seminars for the youths, and because like I said, the youths are the bedrock of every society. So yes, so far I'll say yes, because it transcends. We have lots of seminars, we have even trade fairs going on to support youths, to support the young girls in the society, and mentor programs, So yes, I think it's and also, for example, my foundation, Just Dream Foundation, we support women. We do trainings, shoes and bag making. So yes, it transcends down the ladder.
Well, I can't agree less. Thank you very much, Jasa Jones, the principal partner at Jasa Jones Group. Women, together we can do more.
Yes, we can.
Are you aware that at the end of 2014, there were nearly 140 million active lines in Nigeria's mobile market? This gave rise to the use of dual SIM phones, with Nigeria being the world's biggest market for such phones?
Of course, there's very little consumers can do about the state of the network coverage. However, this next piece tends to know if there's a market solution to the inconvenience of carrying more than one dual SIM phones. Take a listen. Okay.
We apologize for the audio glitch in that report. We'll bring it back shortly. Let us briefly take a look at some news making headlines. Bandits abduct over 150 pupils in the Chinkun local government area of Kaduna State. The incident occurred around 8 a.m. on Thursday within the LEA primary school in Kuriga, with the head teacher and other staff reportedly among the victims.
I think that's one of the things that the former GIG was talking about. You know, when you have this community policing where people can be able to, you know, identify the people who in their community that are perpetrating this evil violence. I think
a very sad one. Primary school papers.
I think a very sad one. And we'll go to organized labor remaining divided over what the new minimum wage should be, as both unions demanding constraining figures for the new minimum wage. While the National Labour Congress is proposing 709,000 as minimum wage for workers, the Trade Union Congress is demanding for at least 447,000. Wow! They say a house divided against itself cannot stand.
I don't know what to make of this, really. There was some months ago where we heard of a 1 million naira minimum wage request, and now we have these two conflicting figures. Well, tomorrow you might hear that they are coming up with another figure. Well, Nigeria has introduced new measures aimed at revamping investment in the country's oil and natural gas sector, as President Tinubu signs executive orders to introduce tax credit for some onshore and shallow water locations.
I think that's a very good one, and of course, it's a welcome development. And Nigeria's government has threatened to revoke the license of electricity distributors for supplying customers, causing widespread power outage that lasts 4 hours across the country. I think this really needs to be dealt with.
It's more than 4 hours anyway. A lot of people are battling heat. I don't even want to begin.
Abuja, for example.
Nigeria is now the first country to receive the new Men 5 meningitis vaccine from the Vaccine Alliance-funded global stockpile, with a shipment delivered by the United Nations Children's Fund. This milestone achievement will help the response on the ongoing outbreak of meningitis across some local government in Jigawa State.
Interesting one. That, I think, is something that we really, really need to look at. And when you look at getting this, when we look at this meningitis and something that we really
it's usually prevalent in most rural communities in the state.
You know, of course, let's now talk a bit of health now. Despite efforts to raise awareness and ensure that discrimination against the people living with HIV is brought down to zero, many persons with HIV continue to endure the realities of living with a disease that people still consider to be infectious through normal ways.
Well, in this next piece, we explore the lives of some people who have to live with the stigma and discrimination that comes with living with HIV virus.
We live with HIV, our parents don't tell us we are taking drugs for HIV. We grow only to know that we have been living with HIV.
Aaron Saunders' story of harrowing experiences mirrors the magnitude of the stigma many of the people living with HIV and AIDS face on a daily basis. He speaks on the dangers of discrimination.
When we take our drugs, we take it with the fear that if our colleagues see this drug, what will be the fate of ourselves in that school, knowing that they might know that this is HIV. I was diagnosed with HIV 2005. I didn't know it was HIV. Even my parents didn't know it was HIV. The white woman that know that this is HIV said, I can't allow this boy to be with you people. If I leave him, he will die.
Responding to the stigma index. So,
she has lived with HIV, especially work discrimination.
The mere hearing of HIV is threatening and scary. You go to the facility, you see people living with HIV are being separated and circulated in a corner, in a ward, in a cubicle, that nobody wants to attend to them. When attending to them, you see doctors, nurses putting 10 gloves.
We sought to explore this in real time by taking our camera out on the streets of Abuja to ask one basic question.
What if the person is your family member? You will not abandon the person because of health issues. Okay, so you show them love at that particular time. They need more love, they need more attention, they need more care at that time. So it's really important to show them care. So you can actually, I can actually share things with that person.
I can relate with them, play with them, eat with them.
UNAIDS says though they have recorded progress in reducing new HIV infections, the progress on ending discrimination is slow.
You may have drugs, but because of the stigma and discrimination, especially from the healthcare professional, so they would not have access to those services. They would not take the pills, they would not be virally suppressed, and then they would die, or they continue in transmitting the infection.
Although Nigeria has made great strides in reducing infections, there is still a long way to go in ending some of the issues that still affect the lives of people living with HIV and AIDS.
It's now time for sport with Jane Francis Weze. Jane, I think the biggest news for Nigeria is Anthony Joseph versus
in the last 24 hours.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are happy about that. The success for him, it's fourth in about 11 months, coming from where he's been, and it was looking like, okay, could this be the end for the former world champion? So it's great to see him get back on and do something big for himself.
Interesting. really interesting. But what do you think? What do you think about Anthony Joshua? Trying to get back his
the world
yes,
heavyweight belt.
Yes.
Well, of course, it's very possible, in the nearest future. So now they are waiting for Alexander and the fight between Alexander and Fury. So whoever comes out winner in that match, Eddie Hearn is waiting to put him, back on the ring to see if he can get back the belt.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's go.
Well, of course, it's now time for sports, and we'll begin with the win as Nigerian-born British boxer Anthony Joshua defeats Francis Ngannou with a second-round knockout win in the heavyweight division in Saudi Arabia. 34-year-old Joshua floored the Ultimate Fighting Championship. The Nigeria Football Federation has declared the Super Eagles head coach position vacant. The former manager of the team, Jose Pesiro, who led the Eagles to a second-place finish at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, officially left the post at the end of last month. There were speculations that the NFF was still negotiating with Pesiro, but the Federation on Thursday posted an advert for the position on its website, thenff.com. Interested coaches, both expatriates and locals, are now expected to submit their application to the NFF. The Federation also declared the position of the under-17 coach vacant.
Interesting conversation.
And that's all on sports this morning.
Thank you very much, Jane. Of course, you come next week and to give us another interesting world and sport.
Hopefully, if interesting things keep happening in the world of sports.
And Premiership this weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, thank you. And now we go to entertainment. Popular gospel artist Moses Bliss has gone on honeymoon after the lavish wedding ceremony that took place in Ghana and Nigeria. The musician and the love of his life celebrated with family and friends from the civil wedding, traditional and white wedding. Although the ceremonies were considered lavish, simplicity still showed through the outfits of the bride, who dressed in simple native and English outfits. Interesting. What do you think of that? Well, let me ask you.
Well, a lot of people were looking forward to that wedding, and I think simplicity was it for me. It was very brought down on the radar, except for the celebrities that attended that wedding. Now, celebrities have arrived 3-day grand affair in Gujarat, India, for the pre-wedding party for the youngest son of an Indian billionaire. Although the couple will not be getting married until July, the celebrations kicked off in March with tech heavyweights such as Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, Ivanka Trump, and Disney chief Bob Iger are among the world's super rich and elite figures who made the guest list. Rihanna performed on stage for about 15 minutes, with sources saying she got a whooping $8 million for her performance.
Give me one. $1 million.
I'll begin to delve into the world of music.
Okay. And of course, BNXN, formerly called Buju, has been at the top of the trending table after showing his loyalty to Burna Boy, who has recently been beefing Davido. An ex-user who is a fan of Davido then called on BNXN, a mid singer, for taking Burna's side, promoting the singer to reply throwing shade at the follower. Davido followed his exchange by deleting a tweet made earlier about BNXL, where he had disclosed that both made a classic song together a year ago. Interesting.
I think this you can't do away with having this should I say misunderstandings, and sometimes I struggle to find how authentic these fights, online fights are. You know, to me it looks more like a strategy
for publicity stunt.
Either to draw maybe netizens to their maybe upcoming collaborations and stuff. So you never know.
Interesting. Okay. And that's our show for you today. And of course, join us next week as we bring you all the top stories in Nigeria, from Abuja down to the northern parts of the state in the north. My name is Ademola Lawrence.
And I am Abida Lawal. Thank you for watching. See you next week.